Welcome to day 13 of There's No Christmas Without the Cross. Have you ever dislocated a joint? The pain is horrible, isn't it? I dislocated my toe once, and it was sticking out the wrong way, and so you could see it was dislocated. And what was interesting about it was I felt like I was going to vomit, and I wanted to go to the hospital, and everyone's like, there's nothing they can do at the hospital. A broken toe is a broken toe. You're just going to have to live with it. I'm like, this is not normal. It's sticking out the side of my foot. I went to the hospital and they put it in, and I immediately felt better because it wasn't just broken. It was dislocated. And so when they put it back where it belonged, it didn't hurt anymore at all. And that's kind of what happened when sin entered the world. God had a plan for the world. He had a plan for us. And that plan included us taking care of his world. But also, as we're going to talk about today, the value he put on humanity. Friends, you are loved more than you can know. And we're going to talk about that today. And the realignment that God had to do when sin entered the world, because we weren't going to be able to do how he originally intended it to be. So I read an article, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and it was about Satan and how Satan came to be. He's a fallen angel, which I think we all know. But in this article, and I have not had time to research it or look into it or any of that, but it was interesting, and it kind of makes sense as to why God had a redemption plan in his hip pocket so quickly when sin entered the world. But he said that the angel that fell before the archangel that fell and became Satan, fell before humanity was made, before the world was made, or maybe in between the beginning, but before humanity was made for sure. And that God actually created man to deal with that. Now, there's nothing in the Genesis that says that, but that's what he said. And I found it interesting that he talked about that. And it kind of makes sense if it's true, which I don't know if it is, that makes sense with having a plan so quickly for us to be redeemed in Jesus. Because as soon as mankind fell, God had a plan that said, okay, the serpent is in trouble. Jesus, the Messiah, will crush your head, even though you will nip at his heel. And he had that right away. And I've always thought that was interesting. And, I've wondered, and I am by no means saying this is true because I have had no time to research it, but it was an interesting concept. Regardless of that, these verses today tell us how much God loves us, how much he loved us when he made us. In Genesis, he talks about making the heavens and the earth and the light and the darkness and the mountains and the sea and the land. And it was all good. But when he made us in his image, it was very good. So we have that. And then today's verse, Psalm 8, verses 5 through 6. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet. And if you remember, God made man. In Genesis, it does say God made man to care for the creatures and the land that he created. You made them rulers over the works of your hand in his image. But I want to talk about verse 5. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. That word honor in Hebrew is hadar. It means splendor, honor, glory, adornment, magnificence, beauty. This noun comes from the verb hadar, to honor, to glorify, to make splendid. You have made them, humanity, a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. To make splendid, glorify, honor. That's how much he loves us. That's how much he trusts us. Isn't that beautiful? God intended for Eden to be this perfect place where we were in community with him. But when sin entered the world, God is holy. He cannot be in the presence of sin. So he had to realign. But even in his realignment, these verses tell us how much he loved us. God made us ruler over the works of his hands, put everything under his feet with the idea that we would rule on his behalf. We are in a significant relationship with our Father. He loves us so much that he made us just a little lower than the angels and crowned us with glory and honor and splendor and beauty. And David even talks about it in Psalm 8. Friend, you are loved beyond a measure. There is nothing you can do to make God not love you anymore. Adam and Eve brought sin into the world. He didn't quit loving them. He changed things because he could no longer be in their presence because he's holy. But he still loved them to the point that the very first sacrifice came not long after that, when, because they knew they were naked, God sacrificed an animal so they could have warmth, because the world would no longer be the perfect temperature and the perfect everything. All of it was going to change. But that's how much he loved them, because he loved all of his creation, but he loved humanity just a little bit more. Please don't forget that. Whatever you are facing this season, God realigned the world as soon as sin entered it. He can realign your mistakes and use them for good if you confess them to him. There's nothing that you can do that will keep him from loving you. There's nothing you can do to keep God from fulfilling this redemption plan that he has made. Have a wonderful day.